My senior class, we were rebels. Can you imagine a senior class in April, getting ready to graduate, going on a strike because we didn't like the food in the dining hall? That was my class, okay? Okay. My class, 1957 class, we went to Columbia on a field trip to visit our state house. They wouldn't let us in. They didn't allow black folk in the state house of South Carolina unless you were a janitor or worked there. So we took a picture, which will be in the new museum over at Lincoln when we open, standing on the steps to memorialize that moment. 13 years later, guess what? I'm sitting in the body over there, okay? But it all happened because of our involvement at Lincoln. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. My full name is James Lee Felder. Everybody called me Jim. Born and raised in Sumter on Mercer Street. From Stone Hill, went to Lincoln. Ended up editing the Echo newspaper there. For 12 years straight, we attended the Columbia University Scholastic Press Association meeting. But that was the beginning of my journalistic journey. We formed our organization in Atlanta called the Student Movement, the Atlanta Student Movement. At one of our meetings, Marion came in the meeting. She said, we were planning a march downtown Atlanta. And she said, Dr. King just moved back to Atlanta. Let's ask him to go with us on our first march. So we called, made an appointment. Dr. King's secretary just happened to be a Sumter girl and a graduate of Lincoln High School. Made the appointment. We went over. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. It lasted 3 hours. He agreed to go with us on our first march. Well, by that time, late afternoon, he said, Coretta, I done kept these children here so long, they done missed dinner at the dining hall. Fix them something to eat. I don't remember what she fixed, but you're a college student, you eat whatever's put before you. So we ate, went back to campus, and we planned our first march, which occurred on March 15th, 1960. We tell people, Jim and I, that our political career started in Sumter at Mount Pisgah AME Church. Jim was elected president of the NAACP Youth Council, and I was elected vice president. 1953. That was the beginning. He was 13 and I was 14 years old. So that's how I got to the legislature. We get there in that body that wouldn't let us in 13 years ago. Okay. And initially, they treated us like furniture. They just ignored us. Finally, after about 2 weeks, you have one of the white legislators ease up by your seat. Didn't have offices at that time. Didn't have the brown building, didn't have the block building. One of them would walk up, would ease up by us. Jim, can I get you to support this little bill here that I'm about to submit? That's when they realized that our vote was the same as their vote. So after that, everything was okay. I did 1,100 funerals at Arlington National Cemetery in an 18-month period. Well, President Kennedy is assassinated. I was selected to head the casket team. I'd get the question, how did you, a little black boy from Sumter, South Carolina, get selected to head Kennedy's casket team? That Friday afternoon, when he was assassinated, I was coming out of the Department of Agriculture from a job interview. So I drove to Southeast Washington, where I lived, went into my apartment, telephone was ringing. It was my first sergeant. He said, Sergeant Felder, you heard what happened to the president? I said, yes. He said, well, your leave has been canceled. You need to get out here to Fort Myers, get your team together. You got to go to Dallas to pick up the president's body. That's how it started for me. So we went out to Andrews Air Force Base and just waited on the tarmac for Air Force One to land. We took the casket off. We had trouble getting it off because Kennedy's aides wanted to help and they really got in our way. We almost dropped the casket thing here. I witnessed the autopsy. I witnessed the embalming, the changing of the casket. We literally threw a reporter from Look magazine and from Life magazine out of the embalming room because they were trying to get pictures of President Norman. When Thurgood Marshall died, the governor of Texas, Ann Richards was her name, she said he stood in the force of history and changed its course. I share that with young folk. You've got to do different. You got to travel the road less traveled because there are things that need to be done down there also. Everybody wants to go the easy way, but you've got to break new ground.